guys, and welcome back to Let's Play Rogue Galaxy. My initial intro seems to be clipping the mic with the new settings, so I think I'm gonna cut back on my intro a little bit. One thing I do want to point out, though, is I talked about the 60 FPS mod, and you'll notice there was no graphical glitch this time. I've turned it off to properly demonstrate a few things. I'm gonna load up our save file. And one of the other things I've also turned off is the added internal resolution, the upscale. I've taken that off to demonstrate something to you guys, and it won't play off quite the same because I'm still using the same software that I've been using for years, that instead of rendering or, spitting out 60 FPS footage, takes 60 FPS footage in and then spits it back out in 30, but it's still going to look better than, and at least it's going to feel better playing it with the 60 FPS mod on, even if you may or may not notice it quite as much. And you'll see here the story recap. I'm basically going to ignore these for the extent of the game because the saving process, the loading process, it all takes forever. And yeah, as you can see, the movement's kind of a little iffy and doesn't look all that great. The internal resolution being upscaled gives it a lot more detail. You can't make out nearly as many details this way, and it feels sluggish. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into a battle here.
There's just too many bees. Here we go.
And it's going to jump into a tutorial that we will get into in a minute, because we're going to be loading up this file again. But yeah, everything kind of feels a little on the slower side. Hard to explain, but it definitely doesn't play as smoothly as having the 60 FPS patch on. So anyway, with that, I've kind of given you a little bit of a demonstration of why I've made a lot of the changes that I have. And now back to your regularly scheduled, upscaled Let's Play. Okay, we're back. And yeah, the movement, the speed of the camera rotation, it's night and day difference going from one to the other. When you're used to it, it's kind of like the way that I played through Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is I played through that entire game on performance mode the first time around, and I didn't really notice it being a problem until I decided to put it on performance mode once I finished the main story, and then I wouldn't be able to go back. But one of the reasons why I avoided it early on is because that game is so goddamn gorgeous that I wanted to experience all of it. That, and when you first started playing it, when it first launched, the performance mode looked like dog shit. It really did not look good. It looked like a pixelated mess. I remember turning on performance for a couple of mini games, and it made all the difference in those mini games. You basically needed 60 FPS in order to make it work, but God, did it look bad. It was like, oh, I'm playing the original Final Fantasy VII all over again. Look at all the pixels. Anyway, regardless, we now have access to Flash Sword, the new ability that we learned at the end of the last episode. And if we want to activate it, all we have to do is open up the menu, select abilities, and we can use it. Since I'm right next to a save point, I will do so, and I will demonstrate. There is a skip feature along with each animation, and that will be extremely valuable, and we will be using that a lot. Now, you can jump and attack floating enemies, and you will need to, as when they're in the air, oftentimes you will... What? Okay, I had other things I was going to talk about. We're going to get on to this. Okay. I guess that's not the most rare, but still, rare drops in this game are basically the only way that you are going to be able to complete your Revelation Flow skill charts for all of your characters. And in this area, there are certain items that will be rarely, that you'll rarely be able to get as drops from some of the enemies around. Thunderstone, depending on which enemy you're fighting, has somewhere between a 3 and a 10% chance. In order to get all of the use that we're going to need out of the Thunderstone, we're going to need 19 of them for Revelation Flow and 5 of them for the factory. You don't need to know what the factory is. Put it to the side. We'll get there when we get there. The Snowcrest is a 4% drop rate. We need 12 for the flow and 7 for the factory. I would recommend picking up a few of each. The Thunderstone, you want to get at least 3, but we've already got more than that, so we don't need to worry about it. There's also a 3% drop rate on a Silver Bangle. We need 8 of them throughout the game, and if I remember correctly, this one will never be available in shops, meaning we really need to get some of them. I'd recommend getting a couple of them now. It's a rare drop, but we should be able to get them based on the fact that we've gotten a bunch of rare drops already here. Dreamflower Ash has a 2 to 3% drop rate. We need 11 for the flow, 12 for the factory. A few wouldn't hurt, but don't go out of your way. We'll be able to buy them later. And last but not least, the Cumulus Pendant. There is a 1 to 2% drop rate. We are required to get 3 for the flow, and we will get those all over the course of the game, so don't worry about getting them as rare drops. Anyway, anytime we use a spell and we're next to a save point, just run back over it and collect it. And now that we're starting to get to the point where Gaster is already repeating himself and we've only just begun the game, I'm going to go into settings and I'm going to turn active chat off for a while because I'm tired of him saying the same lines over and over and over again. Battle messages, I'm going to turn those off as well. I'm not 100% sure, but that might be able to get rid of some of the irritation that I have from him saying the same thing at the start of every battle. Maybe. And we found a third different key requirement for a different chest. So there's at least 3 specialty keys that we're going to get at some point. Now, we have no choice. We can't jump halfway up the ladder and go that way, sadly. But the game's nice enough to at least put the chests that have items that we can actually collect on the roof, so we only have to go up there once. It's not like they're putting a locked key, a locked chest up there that we then have to go up, realize we can't do anything with it, and then go up again.
Wait. Huh? Now we go our separate ways.
What? What do you mean?
I can't go with you anymore. Sorry. Just go into the residential area and take down that big brute.
Hey, hold on a second. I can't take that thing out by myself.
You don't think so? Here, try this. It's much better than that butter knife of yours.
We get a new sword. And it's a cool looking one, too. And if you level it up throughout the course of the game, you never need another weapon again. I'm not kidding. But we obtained the 7-star sword Desert Seeker. Yeah, you want to know why it's called the 7-star sword? There are 7 of these. I'm not even going to get into it right now, but there's a stupid amount of weapons in this game.
Whoa.
You'll also have noticed that there was a... What do we got here?
This?
The battle recorder. As I was saying, you'll notice that there was... You roll back the footage a little bit and look, there was something that was coming out from behind a building, and it seemed like our friend here noticed, and now he wants to bail. Just keep that in mind.
A battle recorder. It'll capture the fight from start to finish. You ought to get a lot of points for bagging that fella. Go on. Take it with you.
Thank you.
See you later.
Wait, hey.
No, wait! How can you just leave me here?
Very easily, apparently. Sadly, he leaves us against giants. Wasn't somebody saying something about giants?
Damn it. Fine. You can't scare me.
Okay. First things
Bring
first.
it on.
This,
Fellas.
this is where we admit. When I started this test run, I game over 3 times here. Not proud of that fact, but it is indeed a fact. The combat system is actually somewhat difficult, but as I said before, it's also very forgiving. The game expects you to spam potions a lot, and you're gonna have to do it. Now, the way that I made this work in my test run is I ran away. So yeah, they basically tell you, yeah, use potions because you're going to need them. Basically, I drew them back here. The reason why I did that... no, we want to keep fighting here. But we want to go back here and hopefully... jumping slashes. Some beasts can only take damage to a specific part of their body. Jump with circle, slash with X. See, we did our first strike there and got no damage. So what we're going to do is we're going to activate Flash Sword. We're going to skip the animation. Going to get hit. And what I was trying to do, but I was unable to, is I wanted to get one of them stuck behind... There we go. I wanted to get one of them stuck behind there because these guys are really strong. No, I want to keep fighting. Sadly, that might unlock the other one. Ow. All right, so we're going to hide over here. You notice how we only have 2 stamina left. I want to use an item now. And when you use an item, it uses a decent amount of stamina, which is going to unload the amount of stamina we have left. So now what I want to do is I want to guard. And he's going to stand there like an idiot. Basically, the point is to get the other guy stuck behind something to make the fight easier. Because if you don't do this, it's very easy to game over. When you're jumping, you can only manage a 3-hit combo. You'll notice that my stuff has run out, my flash sword, after a little while. I'm not going to bother refreshing it because, well, we've got these guys pretty much in the bag.
Man.
Hey! You're not half bad, kid!
Huh? Oh my! Could it be?
Steve-O, what's going on?
Just look!
Come on, what is it?
Comic relief.
Yes?
There's no doubt about it. And see what he's got there? That's Desert Claw's weapon. Desert Seeker, one of the 7 sacred galactic swords.
Like I said, 7 swords.
So that means that you must be
The legendary hunter, Desert Claw!
I have a feeling I've been set up.
Oh, I can't believe how lucky we are. To think we found him this quickly.
no kidding.
I told you he'd be on this planet, didn't I? Didn't I? See?
Well now, aren't we the lucky ones? Mission accomplished. Let's head on back. Come on, you too, mister.
I've been recruited.
Wait a second. What are you trying to do? Look, I've got to take care of that beast up there. You're in my way.
Ah, why bother? I mean, it's such a chore. Come to our ship, and we'll give you all kinds of sweet jobs that beat the pants off plain old beast hunting. Come on.
Knock it off. I have to go now or that thing is gonna destroy the town. Let me go.
That's our Desert Claw, a man of unbending determination.
Ah, whatever you say. We'll accompany you on your hunting trip, but when this little escapade's over, you're coming with us. Is that a deal?
Huh? Why should I?
Then it's settled. Let's be on our way.
And the dynamic duo joins the party. And now they've given us the ability to actually change who we control in battle. For the vast majority of the game, I'm going to ignore this. You can explore the playstyles of the different characters if you want to, but outside of a couple situations, you really don't need to. And for all intents and purposes, it's easier to just control Jaster. So I'm going to do that for the vast majority of the game. You can still access your side characters and give them commands in battle, so you don't have to. You can press the L3 button, which is pressing down the left joystick. I have actually disabled that function and put it on a different key because pressing down the left joystick activates my fast forward, and I use that far more often than I do changing the character that happens to appear on screen. And yes, we can change equipment for them. Anything else useful? I'm ignoring you guys. All right. We have 3 party members now. They come with their own gear. We can take a look at it. It's all pretty basic stuff at this point, but we now have the ability to level up some weapons for these side characters as well. You can move characters around if you care. You can select switch character, which will change who you control, and take a look at their weapons. They haven't been leveled up at all. Some weapons have their own innate effects, as you can see over there on the right. This one has fire as a base element. This one has nothing. If you look at defensive stats, some armor has innate elemental defense or status protection. You're basically at the whims of whatever, because each character can only equip their own stuff, and outside of a handful of costume changes, some of which have different status or elemental resistances, there's not really much you can do about it. You're stuck with what you've got. What I am going to do here is actually I'm going to swap away from the Desert Seeker, which is more powerful, and put the Plain Edge back on, because I'm going to want to level it up anyway. Getting every weapon that we have access to up to maxed, not mastered, as I said in the previous episode, is actually going to be extremely important over the course of this game. Anyway, we have another save point and another building. That building is going to be important. So apparently some of the people here seem to like the evil empire more than the Republic or the Federation that's taking control of this area. Interesting thought. Like, this is what I mean about, like, some of the dialogue is not particularly important, but giving the sense of, like, kind of the emotional feeling of the town and how they're responding to these soldiers coming into their city, their planet, and basically controlling things, holding them hostage in a sense. You know, it's very helpful to have that kind of a context. And there's so many NPCs that give you that idea that it's definitely worth talking to them all at least once. Can't seem to take out the huge beast. All right, save point. And we've got another building here. This one is a shop. Yep, always hit save points whenever possible. Okay, they sell crap here, apparently. What's Steve got to say? All right, so even these new party members, they don't seem to care much for the Longardian Empire. Lend you a hand. Will you now? Looking for a weapon. Yeah, must be here somewhere. All All right, treasure or no treasure chest, that's fine. Give me that treasure chest. More heal potions. Gotta prepare yourself first. All right, shops typically have a stock of certain items. So there's some interesting notes here. Anytime this flashing light bulb shows up, it means that that item is currently usable on the Revelation flow, and you might want to pick up 1 or 2 or whatever. However, you'll notice that the stock is only 3. These are for restoring AP, which is basically this game's version of MP. It's used for skills. This is basically like a recharge drink for everything, and you'll notice that it's coming soon. They don't want to give you super powerful abilities right off the bat, but they do make sure to give you enough basic healing items, such as heal potions and revive, in order to make sure that you're not going to die. Some of these items are going to have requirements for the Revelation flow over the course of the game. In fact, I actually did up a whole spreadsheet on it. So the Sanchez fruit, we need 29 of them for the flow over the course of the game. Not every shop will have an unlimited supply like this one does. We need 2 resurrections for the flow and 13 recharge drinks. None of the other stuff here that are things that we actually need for the flow, but those ones are. So I figured I'd point those out. You are going to want a handful of items going forward, but I wouldn't buy any of those yet. The only thing we want to buy right now is 1 Grand Edge and am I blind? Do they not have it yet? Maybe they get it later? There's another item that's listed that I would have bought later last time. There's a thing with shops in this game where after the game is set up into chapters, and partway through a chapter, an event will happen that usually changes the stock or the items available at shops. So we probably don't have access to the other one yet, but I wanted to pick up as much as I could for now. So we got that. And let's see here. What's my map look like? So anytime you see on the map there, those diamond-shaped things indicates a door. A red spot there. Can I zoom in? No, I can't. Okay. The glowing circular thing is a save point. The red line is a door you cannot pass yet. And the S that has just appeared there, that indicates a shop. The star indicates where you're supposed to go, of course, the game. Okay. Wrong button. So what I'm going to do is normally you may want to actually use the save, but I'm going to be using a lot of save states over the course of this game instead of actual save files. I'll still be making save files at the end of probably an episode, but they take way too long, so I'm not going to be using them a whole lot kind of in between episode or in between start and end of an episode. Now, early on, there's not going to be a lot of point in cutting out too many fights, just because we're still getting used to the combat and everything. There's a silver bangle, and I had told you about this item before. It's a rare drop around here, but it also does work in the flow, and we do get one for free. Now, we can use it here on Jaster. I'm trying to remember if I want that. I definitely want Illusion Sword. I'm gonna have to double check if that leads to what I want it to. Let's take a look at some of these other guys and what we have access to. So this item that we need is a hexagon, or it says a hexagonal mark, which is actually a snow crest. I don't know why it doesn't just show you the item instead, but Anyway, we have 4 of these in stock, and the open spaces on the flow for all of our characters, there are 2 of them available. So it tells you if you have enough to do all of them. Now, not every skill that you're going to learn is going to be all that useful. And if I can't learn the entire skill, I usually won't bother to put anything in there at all, because for the most part, if I can't learn the whole thing, I'd rather save the item in case a different skill comes up that I would much rather put the thing into. Like this one I could learn, but amplification is much less desirable than a secondary ability, which I'm expecting to learn on Jaster might be. So we could learn Wall of Smoke here. Wall of Smoke's not particularly useful, so I'm not even going to bother with that right now. Basically, now that we have access to the flow, there are certain things I will point out, usually at the start of an area, skills that you probably want to learn. With Jaster, it's Flash Sword, which we've already learned, and Desert Wind. I believe I need to you unlock Breakthrow in order to get access, but I will confirm before I do so. Steve, we want to unlock Icy Eye Beam, Electro Punch, and Protection at some point. Like, it doesn't have to happen right now, but at some point over the course of this chapter. And with Simon, eventually we will want to get Amplification and Missile Score. Yeah, I will note those at the start of probably each chapter, at least the start of when we get control in each chapter. All right. That now said, let's talk to some more people. Yeah, probably. Soldiers generally, they stop us from doing anything in these games until it comes to them having to fight anything else, and then they can't do it. Like, they can stop us from doing anything we were trying to do, but it comes time to actually do something useful. Nah, they can't do that. We have to go do that ourselves. All right. How am I looking for on items? I am there. There should be some more soldiers here to talk to. You can count on us all you want, but we're powerless. Useful. So, why are you guys even here? All right, we got a new enemy, the Sand Tortoise. Sand Tortoises, you'll notice up right where the arrow is in the middle of the screen, has this shield icon. There are 2 ways of dealing with this. I'm just going to attack it right now, expecting it to give me a... There it is. So you can hold down the X button to do a charge attack. Stronger than your normal attack, it takes a little while to charge up. Some enemies can only be defeated using charge attacks, meaning you need to break their initial shield in order to get them to take any damage at all. Anytime they have that mark above their heads, you need to first break it with either a charge attack or the, let's see here. I think it's the unblockable part of this that allows it to go over and through this, but you can use that instead. So I've changed my targeting here so that I can target the other enemy that has the other enemy that I needed to break the shield on, because the other party members, they're not particularly bright at it. There we go. Now, you'll notice up in the kind of the top left, I got player bonus there. The way that player bonus works is I think you have to kill more than 50% of the enemies by yourself. And that doesn't mean you deal all the damage. It means you deliver the finishing blow. And this has to be without using like an all-targeting magical spell, which we will get in a little bit. But basically, the more useful you are with the character you're controlling, the better off you're going to be in terms of the amount of experience you get. It's a small increase. I don't have the percentage off the top of my head, but Yeah, you can do strategy for your characters. You can change the strategy in battle if you want by pressing the square button. It's something we will use, but not that often. What rumors were true? Yeah, that's bad timing. You seem like you're fine for now, though with all the monsters running around, I would get inside something. Feels like the house is gonna fall apart. There's actually a decent amount of detail in some of these areas. You know, like the textures on the wall, the fan. You know, you're not going to spend a lot of time looking up, but they did a good job of, you know, making the areas that are supposed to be livable actually look livable. I appreciate it. Your mish has been flattened. And we were going to have it for dinner tonight, too. It's like everything kind of fell down here. In order to get by here, we need to jump up here. You can press X or you can press circle to get up there. The game will let you fall off of some things, but other things you are not allowed to fall off. Right. We get another Thunderstone. Now, I initially planned on bringing this up a little bit earlier, but I kind of got distracted with all the other things I've had to explain. The music in this game. It's really freaking good. It does have one kind of issue, and we'll get into that over the course of the game. Space pirate ship. Interesting. Oh, they came here because something the pirates did. If you say so, I guess you must be right. Alright, so we're going to activate our flash sword again. And we're going to open up the menu. Now, before I get into what I was going to talk about with the music, if you're controlling your character and you're doing a lot of the damage, you don't want to be wasting your stamina by healing. So what you can do is open up the menu, go to a different character, activate their ability to use the item, and then it will use it from their stamina. As you can see, Steve's here, stamina is going down, and that will allow you to avoid having to waste your stamina when you could otherwise be damaging enemies. Ow. There we go. As you can see, he's got one basic combo, and that's about it. And our other party members here, they're not great. They're really slow at killing things. We're definitely going to get a lot of player bonuses at this point, but what do we got here? We got a max heal. Come back here. Okay, so someone's got it. Whole town is screwed. Never mind. Definitely a lot of enemies here. I'm gonna try to avoid healing because there's a save point right there. But yeah, the music for this game is actually quite well done. It does have that one flaw that I was talking about, but we will see that over the course of the game. The composer is... I guess I have no choice. I don't want him to die. There we go. And we got a rare silver bangle drop. Very nice. I'm very happy to see it. Yeah, the music is composed by Tomohito Nishiura. And like, it's such a well-crafted soundtrack. Each song really does mean exactly what you would think it would be based on where it's used. And they did a really interesting thing with the soundtrack. They released I think it's a 10-track soundtrack, and it's an arranged version. What they did is they had different composers come in and apply their own style to it. I would highly recommend that you guys go and listen to this on YouTube. And if you're familiar with some of these composers, you may want to try and go in blind and just listen to some of the songs and see if you're able to kind of note the styles. Ignore that. That was other memory card, and that has spoilers on it. I will block it off. But yeah, my bad. The other composers that they had working on this arranged soundtrack: Yasunori Mitsuda, famous for everything he does; Kenji Ito of Romancing Saga fame; Yoko Shimomura of Kingdom Hearts; Nobuyoshi Sano, known for the Tekken series. I'm not familiar with him. Yoshitaka Hirota from the Shadow Hearts series; Shinji Hosoe, known to me for the composer for Xenosaga 2, but he's also worked on lots of Street Fighter games; and Motoi Sakuraba of Tri-Ace fame. Finally, Noriyuki Iwadare is the composer for the Grandia series, as well as the Lunar series. I did not know until I did research on this upon realizing that I wanted to talk about this. I don't think I've ever seen a soundtrack that has done this before, where they got other composers to come in and do like completely different styles like that. And it was really cool. I was listening to it for a little while before, trying to piece some of them together, and some of the styles are so obvious. You hear, you know, the first 30 seconds of the song, it's like, well, I know who this is. There's no one else it could be. And there's others that I'm just not familiar with, because there's more composers than I even listed. But it was really cool to have soundtracks like that. Now, I'm not going to go up there quite yet. This game, and well, my Let's Plays in general don't tend to have a lot of farming. Not a lot of grinding. I try and avoid it because not a lot of people want to do it. However, not only are there difficulty spikes in order to get some of the best weapons, we need to level up those weapons, and we also need to be able to buy those weapons. For both of these, we are required to fight a lot of enemies. We're fighting a lot of enemies, we're going to be gaining a lot of levels. We also need the rare drops from fighting a lot of enemies in order to fill in the revelation flow and complete it and get all of our abilities. So my initial plan was to do a lot of grinding, which is what I did in my test run. And during my test run, I got the 7th party member and I was 12 levels higher. And then I got the 8th party member like 10 battles later, and I was only 6 levels higher. So I'm going to still be doing some grinding, but probably not as much as I did in my test run. I wanted to kind of go about and show off as much as I can. I'm not going to be able to like platinum the game with this Let's Play, because one, it's not worth it. Two, all I'm missing out on are, I think, a couple of costumes, and I'm not spending another 20 hours trying to get those costumes. It's not worth my time. But I will definitely go over ways to give you tips on how you would get it if you so feel like doing so. Like if you're playing the PS4 version, I think there's now trophies, so you can go and deal with that if you're so interested in that. But yeah, the interesting thing is, one of the things that we are going to eventually need is over here, the hunting record. The game kind of gives you a way of going through it where if you want to get your ranking in the hunting ranking thing up high enough, then you're going to have to fight certain amounts of enemies in pretty much every area of the game. And by every area, I mean every area of the game. Goddamn, this is a long list of enemies. 212 different enemies in the game. And that doesn't include bosses, and that doesn't include, like, you know, quasi-bosses or whatever you want to call them. So each enemy has kind of an area that they appear more often than others. I'm not going to go over it all right now, except for one aspect. I'm going to take this teleporter here, and I'm going to teleport back to near the church. One of the more rare enemies in this area is more often encountered over here. And what I'm going to do is, now that I have 3 party members, I am going to do a few battles with them around. And I'm specifically going to do it in this area, because some of the enemies that appear more often around here, such as those statue dogs, right on cue, they appear a lot more often in this area than they do in a lot of the other areas. And the idea here is we want to level up some of our weapons, get some money, and kind of get prepared. Certain enemies like these guys appear everywhere. You're gonna probably get most of these on your own anyway, so don't worry about that. Dragonflies, not quite as common, but still pretty common. I'm surprised I've only found 5 of these guys so far. Normally they are everywhere. Same with these guys. These, basically the amount that you are required to pick up is usually an indication of how rare they are. We've found 5 of the cactuses already, which is strange because we normally find none. And the gold childs are ones that I almost never find. Of course not. But anyway, I am going to do a few more battles around here, and in the process, hopefully go for some of those rare drops. Okay, we're going to go over something now. It probably doesn't need to be gone over quite yet, but I will do it anyway, just in case you're interested. If you are playing via emulator, save states can be abused. And by abuse, I mean I will be abusing it over the course of this Let's Play to avoid time spent grinding and time spent hunting for rare drops. The drop chance is determined at the end of the battle, not when the enemy is killed. Save state at any point in battle. Kill the enemies. If they don't drop what you like, reload, try again. I'm going to give you a demonstration of this in this fight. I'm going to specifically kill a bunch of them earlier. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to make sure I'm selecting the emulator and not my notes. Save state. And unfortunately, have to wait forever. Okay, so I didn't get any items from that fight. We're going to reload. And I'm going to save again in this spot since I am much closer to where I want to be. And voila! We get not only different items, but we also, let's see here, we got you to max. Like I mistakenly said it was mastered. It's not, it's max. Once you level up all the elements, then it will say mastered. But once we get it to max, we no longer need that piece of equipment to gain any experience, but because I have nothing better to equip, it's going to stay on there. We have one more battle on this before we can upgrade to some of the other ones. You'll notice here that each weapon has a required level indicated on the right middle there. And you can actually get weapons that are unequipable because you do not meet the required level in order to use it. So make sure that you are indeed fighting around. Make sure you're leveling up each individual weapon that you're getting your hands on. I'm going to fight a few battles here in between episodes, and I probably won't be exploiting things too much. The statue dogs have a chance of dropping the silver bangle as well as the cumulus pendant. So if you want to go after like a rare chance on those, go right ahead. You can also get the silver bangle from the gold child enemy, which is kind of like a dirt statue kind of looking thing. And let's see what else we got here. The Dreamflower Ash, an item that I definitely want to get, is from the Mish enemies that we just took out. So like I said, they're rare drops, but they're definitely there. So like I said, I'm going to do a little bit of this, not too much. And meanwhile, I will be gathering a few more of these items or these enemies to complete toward my totals. Eventually, we will know the purpose of this. Here we see a quarry. There is the Scorching Alchemist. It's located in Rosa in town. Recently seen in the Gween system. I think that's the only time I've read that word in the entirety of my test run, but sure. Only rarely appears on planet Rosa. This guy goes between planets? Okay. Well, to each their own. But yeah, basically run over there, run back, hit the save point, and once you hit the save point, oops, then you'll be good. One thing to note is using your abilities will use usually a decent amount of stamina, so be aware that yes, you're going to get more damage, but you're going to have to recharge sooner rather than later. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to save state again. And we're going to unload that. And we got a paralysis here. Now you can basically sit here and do this over and over and over again until you get the item you want. Sanchez fruit, I didn't have one of those. Sure. I'm actually looking for the silver bangle, but I'm not that picky. All right, so we finally leveled up our sword. So we're gonna move over to this sword. Basically, I like to work on the weakest ones first so that I can use the more powerful ones and then not have to change it up afterward. But you do whatever you want to do. But like I said, you fight a few battles, you run back over to the save point over here, and if you're on emulator, you abuse the crap out of your fast forward feature to make your life even easier. But yeah, that's pretty much all for this one. I know we didn't make a whole lot of progress, but there is a lot that I did want to go over early on in this LP to try and give everyone an idea of where we're at. And we'll try one more time here. See if we can get that silver bangle. Nope. Sometimes it just doesn't work for you. Sometimes you have to change up the style, it seems, like how, like the different inputs you have. Sometimes that seems to help, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you can do the exact timing and it seems to give you a different result. It's hard to say. But yeah, that's pretty much all for this one. Next time, we'll actually start advancing the plot a little more, and we'll be doing most of the monster farming that I plan on doing off screen. It's kind of a good way of keeping your levels within reason, because there are some difficulty spikes in this game, but at the same time, it's also going to give you the ability to keep up with revelation flow, make sure you can always be getting new abilities, keeps up, gives you battles to fight to train your weapons so that you can always be upgrading your weapons. It's kind of part and parcel to the game. You can skip all of it and just rush to the end if you really want to, but it's all kind of part and parcel to the way that this game is put together. It's not the fastest game. I think my test run was like 50 or 60 hours, so it's not a short game, but it's not like an insanely long game. It's not Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is too long. As good as that game is, it is too long. But anyway, like I said, that's all for this one. And I'll see you guys next time.